The countdown on a strike against Iran has begun after reports emerged that the Ayatollah regime is attempting to build unconventional warheads for their missiles that could carry chemicals and also biological weapons. Israeli and American officials have declared that the response will be harsh and immediate. During his meetings with President Trump at the Mar-a-Lago in Florida over the past 24 hours, Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to have received a green light for a broad campaign against Hezbollah, as well as Israel heads towards a dramatic decision amid indications that Iran is trying to rebuild military in Syria and strengthen the Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon. President Trump also said that in the Gaza Strip, a move to phase B of the ceasefire plan is imminent, and if Hamas does not disarm, it will be erased by a coalition of 59 countries. 59 countries! He also added that maybe there will be a surprise this week. And that's where the Houthis in Yemen are rebuilding their strength and training for the next round amidst a general Iranian buildup of its regional proxies. So, what can be seen about the future of the Middle East following this historic meeting in Florida between President Trump and his senior advisors and the Israeli delegation led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? Welcome to Boots Underground. I'm your host, Yair Pinto, bringing you all the truth about what is happening in Israel. The historic Trump-Netanyahu meeting at the Mar-a-Lago took place on Monday evening, Israel time, and by the time it was over, the equation in the Middle East has shifted sharply. TVN Israel's senior Middle East analyst Mati Shoshani will bring us an in-depth look at what all the statements mean for the future of the Middle East, starting with Hamas and the demand that it disarm, and what will happen if they continue to refuse. But the really big story is that after the summit and the meeting, it appears that the United States gave a green light to Israel for a strike on Iran. We'll be talking about that a lot more in this report. Other details emerged from the meeting included a renewed call by President Trump for Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog to pardon Netanyahu, and a vague statement by President Trump that maybe there will be surprises by the new year. He didn't specify exactly what surprises might be coming, but he added that he is considering selling F-35s to Turkey, saying that Erdogan is my friend. Bibi respects him. This last statement drew sharp look from Netanyahu, so maybe that was one of the surprises that President Trump was talking about. But President Trump also spoke about other relationships that he'd like to see Israel having with its neighbors, saying that I'm sure Syria and Israel will work it out. And regarding Hamas, he declared that they will get a short time to disarm. If not, it will be terrible. In regards to Hezbollah, he said, they are behaving badly, which, with all due respect to the president, seems to be like a very severe underestimate. But maybe that was the point. In any case, we'll have the full details about this historic meeting, as well as a closer look at Iran's preparations for an alternative deterrent to the Iranian nuclear program that suffered a severe blow in the war against Israel and the United States. Military sources claim that the Revolutionary Guards are escalating the development of chemical and also biological warheads for long-range ballistic missiles as part of preparations for a possible confrontation with Israel and with the United States of America, and against the backdrop of escalating regional tensions. At the same time, this week, we're seeing chaos on the streets of Iranian cities as large numbers of protesters clash with security forces and demand that the regime pay attention to their economic needs. We'll be talking a lot about Iran in today's report because there is a lot going on there this week that affects us here in Israel for better and also for worse. But getting back to President Trump, he also addressed the situation in Syria, declared his support for interim President Abu Muhammad al-Julani, and emphasized the need to strengthen his stability against ISIS attempts to destabilize the region. Once again, Iran emerged as the leading cause of instability in Syria together with ISIS. After suffering a severe blow with Assad's fall, the Ayatollah regime is trying to rebuild its military power inside Syria. According to the report, the Revolutionary Guards positioned a large number of soldiers on the Syrian border, and they can move in and try to take over the country with very little warning. Back home in Israel, the government has begun a process to revoke operating licenses from several international aid organizations in Judea and Samaria and in the Gaza Strip that employed terrorists. Finally, there was shock this week amongst the British Jews after the state held a reception for an Islamic activist who has openly called for the murder of Zionists. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, with me is Mati Shoshani, and this is your Boots on the Ground reporting about everything that's happening in Israel on this 815th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, the Shia militias in Iraq, and all the other armed groups in this region that are operating under the control of the Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran, which is the head of the crumbling axis of evil in the Middle East.